Welcome to Dark and Haunting Tales Horror Aficionados. Today we are diving into the darkness of the great outdoors with unearthly camping encounters that will keep you up at night. Brace yourselves, these stories may make your blood run cold. They may contain some events or acts that may be disturbing for some viewers. Be advised. If you are new to the channel, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. And for all of you subscribed, thank you. Now, whether you are a fan of camping or simply have a fascination for it, these hair-raising stories are sure to send shivers down your spine. As always, are you ready to be terrified? Then let's begin. Legend had it that Lake Vesper was cursed, a place where swimmers mysteriously vanished without a trace. No wonder to take a dip, and the stories sent shivers down my spine. But my friends, Liam, Lily, and I, Nathan, were always up for adventure, and we believed that urban legends were meant to be tested. One warm summer day, the sun was high in the sky, and the allure of the cursed lake proved irresistible. We parked our old pickup truck near the shore, ready to challenge the legend. Laughter filled the air as we unpacked our picnic and towels, ignoring the uneasy glances shared among us.
I can't believe we're doing this.
Lily giggled, though her eyes betrayed a hint of fear. Liam, the daredevil among us, winked.
Come on, guys. It's just a lake. What could go wrong?
We couldn't help but wonder what awaited us beneath the calm surface. With each step toward the water, my heart pounded louder. We knew the legend of the lake, but we wanted to prove that it was just a story. The cool water lapped at our feet, and for a moment the sensation was refreshing. But as we ventured deeper, an unsettling feeling washed over us. Something was amiss, and we couldn't put our finger on it. The lake's surface was unusually still, and the surroundings felt eerily silent. We shared anxious glances, but decided to swim out to the center, where the water was deep and dark. That's when we noticed the whispers, soft, mournful voices that seemed to rise from the depth.
Can you hear that?
I said, my voice quivering. Liam nodded, his face pale.
Yeah, but it's just our imagination.
We pressed on, though our initial excitement had given way to unease. As we reached the center of the lake, the voices grew louder, and the water seemed to churn beneath us. And then it happened. A hand, cold and clammy, brushed against my leg. I screamed and swam frantically toward the shore. Liam and Lily followed, terror etched across their faces. But as we tried to escape, unseen hands began to pull us downward. Panic set in as we struggled to reach the surface. In that moment, the whispers grew louder, and the water seemed to come alive with malevolent energy. We fought with all our strength. In the end, we broke free and headed to the surface, gasping for air, our hearts racing. The lake had tried to claim us, but we had fought back. We reached the shore, shaken and terrified, the echoes of those haunting whispers still ringing in our ears. We never went back to Lake Vesper, and the memory of that cursed water continues to haunt our dreams. We had dared to challenge a legend, and it almost cost us our lives. Sometimes the stories we hear contain more truth than we are willing to admit. A few years ago, I embarked on a camping adventure with a group of friends. We chose a remote location deep in the woods, eager for a serene and nature-filled escape. The first day and night went by without any unsettling events, and our campfire stories echoed with laughter. However, as the second night descended, an ominous stillness settled over the forest. The air grew cold, and we felt an eerie presence surrounding our campsite. As we huddled around the campfire, the feeling of unease intensified. Then it began, a series of scary howls that echoed through the darkness. These were not the sounds of wolves or any animal we had ever encountered. The howls had an unearthly haunting quality that sent shivers down our spine.
Did you hear that?
Jason whispered, his eyes wide with fear. The rest of us exchanged anxious glances. It was impossible to deny that we had all heard those unearthly howls. Kim's voice trembled as she spoke.
It's not an animal. What kind of creature could make that sound?
The howls continued, growing louder and more disturbing with each passing moment. Fear clung to us like a suffocating shroud as the night seemed to close in around us. Our campfire, which had been a comforting beacon in the dark, flickered as if the flames themselves were frightened by the otherworldly howls. I shuddered, feeling a sense of dread I had never known before. As the howling grew closer, our fear deepened. We grabbed flashlights and scanned the trees, searching for the source of the chilling sounds. Yet all we could see were the shadows shifting and dancing in the uncertain light. The howls now seemed to encircle us, as if some malevolent presence was closing in. Panic set in, and we huddled together, whispering our fears and hoping for dawn to break. Hours passed, and the night felt endless. The howls seemed to taunt us, echoing through the darkness, their origin elusive. We couldn't bear the terror any longer, and we knew we had to make a choice.
We have to get out of here.
I finally declared. My friends nodded in fearful agreement, and we quickly packed up our campsite, leaving behind most of our gear in our haste to escape the relentless howls. As we fled through the woods, the chilling sounds continued to pursue us. It felt like they were right at our heels, just out of sight, tormenting us with their haunting cries. Finally, we reached our car and sped away from that haunted forest, vowing never to return. To this day, the memory of those haunting howls haunts my dreams. A reminder that the unknown terrors lurking in the heart of the wilderness can be far more terrifying than any story we could have told around our campfire. Several summers ago, I set out on a solo hiking trip in the wilderness of Oregon. The sun dipped below the horizon, and I found myself deep in the forest, surrounded by the hushed embrace of nature. I had heard stories of strange happenings in these woods, but I wasn't one to believe in superstitions. As I followed the trail, my flashlight cast a small beam of light, barely enough to cut through the thick canopy above. An eerie stillness hung in the air. I felt like an intruder in a world that did not welcome my presence. That's when I saw them, footprints. Strange, enormous footprints, like nothing I had ever seen before. My heart quickened, and I cautiously followed the tracks deeper into the woods. I couldn't ignore the feeling that something was terribly wrong. As I pressed on, the footprints grew more distinct and even more peculiar. They weren't human. They were far too large. My mind raced with possibilities. Had someone else ventured into these woods with monstrous feet? Or was there something else, something not of this world? I called out, "Is anyone here?" The only response was the rustling of leaves and the distant cry of an owl. I was completely alone. The footprints led me to a clearing, and there, under the silvery moonlight, I saw it, an enormous shadowy figure. It was hunched over, facing away from me, and I could see its massive, misshapen feet. My heart raced. I considered turning back, but something kept me frozen in place. I had to see what this creature was. Carefully, I inched closer, my flashlight shaking in my trembling hand. With each step I took, I grew more certain that this was no human. The creature's grayish, leathery skin looked alien, and its massive twisted limbs ended in bony elongated fingers. It was rummaging through something on the forest floor, oblivious to my presence. As I watched in terrified fascination, it turned its head slightly, revealing a grotesque elongated face with no visible features, just a gaping, dark jaw that hinted at rows of sharp teeth. In that moment, I finally found the courage to retreat. The strange creature didn't react to my movement. I retraced my steps, my heart pounding, praying that it wouldn't follow me. Hours later, I stumbled back onto the hiking trail, exhausted and filled with a sense of dread that lingered long after I left the woods. What was that creature, and where had it come from? I may never know the answers, but I've come to accept that some mysteries are best left untouched, deep within the heart of the enigmatic wilderness. It was supposed to be a serene family camping trip in the heart of Utah's wilderness. My wife, Amy, our teenage daughter, Denise, and I, Kevin, set up camp in a remote, amazing clearing, surrounded by towering trees and the rustling sounds of nature. The day had been filled with laughter, hiking, and exploring the pristine beauty of the area. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm, orange glow across the landscape, we gathered around the campfire. We roasted marshmallows, shared stories, and gazed at the countless stars overhead. As night descended, our campsite was illuminated solely by the flickering flames. It was a peaceful moment, but that serenity was shattered when we heard faint, distant voices in the woods. We strained our ears to listen. At first, we dismissed it as other campers settling in for the night. But the voices grew louder, and a sense of unease began to creep over us. Huddled together, we decided to investigate. Armed with flashlights, we cautiously ventured into the forest. The voices led us deeper into the woods, and eventually we came upon a dimly lit clearing. There, a group of people had gathered around another campfire. The sight was unsettling. They were cloaked in old clothing and appeared homeless, their faces concealed by shadows. One of them noticed our presence and signaled others to hush. The eerie silence that followed was deafening. My heart raced as I looked at Amy and Denise, fear reflected in their eyes. "Hey there," one of the strangers called out, stepping forward, his eyes holding a menacing grin.
"We didn't mean to intrude,"
I replied, attempting to keep my voice steady.
"We just heard voices and wanted to see if everything was okay."
The man smiled, revealing a row of rotting teeth.
"Well, you found us, haven't you? And now you're part of our little gathering."
Unease gripped us as the group closed in, blocking our escape route. Their intentions were unclear, but their menacing presence sent chills down our spines.
We're just camping.
Amy trembling, trying to defuse the situation.
We didn't mean to disturb you.
The strangers exchanged knowing glances.
Oh, we know you're camping,
The same man said, his voice dripping with malice.
but now you're camping with us. Isn't that fun?
Fear coursed through me as I realized we were in grave danger. These people were unhinged, and their intentions were far from friendly. In that moment, I made a snap decision. I signaled to my family, and in an instant, we bolted into the dark forest. Not looking back, we ran through the night, guided only by our flashlights and the distant creepy laughs of the strangers behind us. Hours passed, and exhaustion began to take its toll. But we didn't stop until we reached the safety of our ranger station. We reported the eerie encounter to the authorities, who launched a search for the group of menacing strangers, but they were never found. The experience haunted us, a chilling reminder that sometimes the wilderness can hold dark secrets, and not all those who wander in the night can be trusted. It left a lasting mark on our family, a story we would pass down as a warning to future generations of campers in the Utah wilderness. It was supposed to be a fun camping trip with friends, a weekend of stories around the campfire, s'mores and stargazing. We found the perfect spot, deep in the heart of the forest, and the setting sun bathed the area in warm shades of orange and pink. As darkness descended, we pitched our tents, the campfire crackling with life. As the night grew darker and the forest seemed to come alive with mysterious sounds, branches creaked, leaves rustled, and a gentle breeze whistled through the trees. But there was something else in the air, something unsettling.
Did anyone hear that?
Emily whispered, her eyes wide. We exchanged uncertain glances.
It's probably just the wind.
I said, trying to sound confident, but the feeling of unease didn't fade. Strange shadows danced at the edge of our vision, and faint ghostly whispers drifted through the air. We gathered around the campfire, seeking comfort in its warm glow.
What do you think those sounds are?
Jacob asked, his voice betraying his anxiety. My thoughts raced.
Maybe it's just animals. It's a big forest.
That's when we heard it, unmistakable and spine-chilling, a voice whispering our names. Emily, Jacob, James. Panic seized us, and we jumped to our feet.
Who's out there?
Jacob called out, shining his flashlight into the darkness. But there was no response, just the eerie rustling of leaves and the distant haunting whispers. We decided to huddle together in one tent, our hearts pounding. This was no ordinary camping experience. Hours passed, the forest seemingly holding its breath. Just as we started to think we might have imagined everything, a shadowy figure moved beyond the tent's thin fabric. We gasped in unison, fear coursing through our veins.
Who's there?
Emily whispered, her voice trembling. The shadow didn't respond, but it began to move closer. We held our breath, waiting for some sign or sound to reveal the intruder's identity. In the dim light, I thought I saw a face, pale and distorted, lurking outside. With a trembling hand, I unzipped the tent, ready to confront whatever was out there. But when I looked, there was no one. just the darkness of the forest. The whispers persisted, growing louder and more insistent. We were trapped in the grip of an unseen presence.
We need to get out of here,
I said, my voice shaking. As we rushed out of the tent, the ghostly voices seemed to follow us. We ran through the dark forest, terrified and disoriented. No matter how far we ran, the whispers were always close. Finally, with the first light of dawn, the eerie sounds ceased. We reached the edge of the forest, gasping for breath. We had survived the night, but we knew we had encountered something beyond our understanding. The memory of the haunted campsite continues to haunt our dreams, a chilling reminder that in the depth of the wilderness, there are things that defy explanation, and some horrors are best left unexplored. Thank you, horror aficionados, for watching our video. So next time you find yourself alone on a night shift, remember these tales of the unexplained. You never know what encounters await in the darkness. Thank you for all of you subscribers for the support and making it to the end of the video. And for everyone new, welcome. If you like this video, join our community of horror aficionados by liking, turning on post notification, and subscribing for more content like this. Stay safe and sleep tight if you can.